Well, good afternoon. May I first thank the organizers for this opportunity to share some ideas and our distinguished panelists and participants here. I'm going to give a different beat on defining whatever, sometimes now people call it a demand-side e-governance, but I would like to look at citizen-centric services, not just by one government department or division trying to reach the services in a user-friendly manner, but to really address from the citizens or the community perspective. And I'm planning to give you a methodology to build such new forms of e-governance. Well, let me first define. Today what we talk is more of e-government. That is government trying to reach its services to the people. Okay, that is not exactly the same as e-governance, because governance is about governing the issues on the ground, and in every issue that you talk, there are multiple parties are involved, not only the government, there are other organizations, industry, NGOs, local communities, and even education institutions. They all are involved in one way or the other depending on the nature of the problem. I'll illustrate that also. So, if every issue of governance involves target communities and groups of organizations. That is the first requirement to understand. So, when we talk about citizen-centric, what citizens are looking for is a single window type of solution from multiple organizations. Okay, how do we build such a structure? So, now we shall illustrate it from an example in agriculture soon. But I believe issues in e-governance are much larger than the component e-governance services that are given to targeted individual citizens, like issuing certificates, land records, and some whatever each office has. But if you look at government programs, major plan programs, or any development in like rural development, like Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, Janani Suraksha Yojana, how will you give an e-governance phase to such programs? So now I am going to show that in all these kind of areas that I am talking as the heart areas, that is healthcare, education, agriculture, rural development, tourism and culture, there is a common way to address the e-governance issues from the citizen-centric point of view. I'll give an example. Here is the example of how farmers will get the right information from the right source at the right time and get the right action. That is the kind of way the farmers would look to have. But the problem is, see how many organizations are involved in the farming sector, and every one of them have something to give. And so there are government systems like state and central departments of agriculture, directorates, education services, even NIC, SEG, Market, AgriSnet, something like that. Then you have the huge ICAR system and their extension services, ethics and various things. Then you have the industry and market systems, not necessarily that of the government. There are agricultural universities, their research stations and so on. Then you have commodity boards and exchanges, statewide Krishi Bhavans and extension services, agricultural financing, various related systems nothing to do with agriculture like land use, water and irrigation, meteorology, remote sensing and so on. And then we also need to sensitize them on international systems like FAO, trade agreements, Kyoto, carbon footprints and so on. So how do we provide services in such a complex situation? We did build it. We used to call this as Kisan. It was done as Kisan Kerala in Kerala by my institute when I was there. And it is continuing to live healthily. In fact, last year it won the Stockholm Challenge, topped the Stockholm Challenge mentioned in the socio-economic category. It was called Kisan Information System Services and Networking, where you try to see a single window clearing of whatever the issue, not just giving information, right down to the last mile action to address the farmer's concern. You can see that whether it is the extension services, finance and credit, trade and commerce, agriculture institution, everybody is available at the beck and call of the farmer through such a portal. Here is the way it was built. At the center of it, you have, at the back side of it, a knowledge management and collaboration portal, which has a database of who is doing what and what are the services from various relevant organizations, whether it is a commodity board, research organization, directorate of agriculture, and so on. And there's a front-end services delivery, including smart delivery interfaces like expert systems for agricultural fertilizer advisory, and so on, reaching to the agricultural stakeholders. They may be farmers, farm-related enterprises, and so on. So we can adopt this kind of a model. But the thing is, the principles that were used were very simple. Basically, IT is viewed in terms of 4 systems. There are people and systems to collect data, generate, organize information, people and systems that disseminate and communicate, people and systems that create value using information. Of course, the technology support behind it. Now, so the key to demand-side e-governance is breaking the isolation. I feel one more requirement is there. The incorporation of education in this was very, very fundamental. A lot of things required education as we went along, for various communities like the extension services into educating this. Okay, the first thing we required is a kind of common IT skill set. I put it in a big table. You can take it, download it later. Okay, now the other thing we introduce is the notion of community knowledge enterprises. Basically, these enterprises are exactly like the Kisan services model. They converge different organizations through a single portal and reach out to the people, a single window type of system. In a knowledge society or economy, the value created lies in the ability of multiple relevant organizations bringing their collective competencies together in addressing the issues of target communities. I call it the 5 rights: right information at right time, in the right place, to right persons, and in the right context. That has to be assured by the CKE. How do we establish it? Here are many examples which are where we can put similar services model, like extended Janani Suraksha Yojana, which is a mother and child welfare, blood bank and emergency medical care in every panchayat, health insurance services for old and poor, which is different from health insurance. Similarly, in education area, particularly primary education, that needs to be localized. Then there are several areas in agriculture, then rural development, tourism and culture. All these areas are abundantly examples where community knowledge enterprises can be formulated. Okay. One of the key things we learned is all of them require 4 quadrants of IT enabling. There is a back office, which is a back-end knowledge management collaboration, program-related databases of various kinds that get into it, and the dynamic field-level interface support for handling people's calls, the portal-driven events management. We run a weekly TV serial there, which has become a hugely popular called Krishi Deepam. And I myself oversaw 260 unbroken weekly episodes, which has now crossed 400 episodes now. It's viewed by more than 6 million Keralites. It's in Malayalam language though. Then the social networking aspect. All 4 have to be addressed together by this community knowledge enterprise. And similar thing I can do for Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. There are many areas in Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan which are not addressed. For example, parent sensitization is very important for children's education, and there is no system for it. So today Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan rather runs very mechanically without really the sensitivity to handle in the social issues of the communities. That can be done. Other thing I am showing that all modes of communications are used, whether it is a mass media like radio, television, cell phones, low-cost access devices, even IP television. We have a call center which takes care of that, and this is done in a holistic manner. So all that the farmer needs is nothing more than a phone call, and we will be able to follow. Then we have community knowledge. So essentially architecting a community knowledge enterprise of multiple organizations is first establish this online portal. Of course, make sure connectivity is there. I think connectivity problem is getting increasingly resolved. And then we need one more facilitation. This whole thing succeeded because we had a neutral IIIT as an institution in Trivandrum, which could put together all the agricultural university, research and government and all that together. Likewise, we need to create a neutral institution in every state, which is a meeting ground institution. I now call it as SILK, that is Convergence Institute for Learning and Knowledge, which will be a kind of institute of institutions, which is needed in this case. And we have one interesting concept that we practiced was, while it has its own staff, technology and professionals and all, we ensured for each program, like in agriculture, it is the state government's agricultural officers and relevant people who are posted to run this in this institute. So that assured the quality of services and acceptability. So what is needed is, we need a convergence institute where I was thinking it could be co-located with IGNOU's regional centers, with a technology enhanced study center. It has to do localized content, and data center access at least, if not keeping the physically. We need video, sound and web studios to produce programs, regional services programs, and we need to have an entrepreneurship development and technology incubation area, and then the mass media. If this can be made available to every university, every government, every organization as a convergence in every state, then this can spawn off a large number of community enterprises. Our community colleges of IGNOU, each of them can run along with an education a community enterprise also for each panchayat. Imagine if each panchayat produces 10 such enterprises employing 20 IT professionals, we will have 2 crore jobs in this country with 100,000 panchayats, all for rural youth. So that is possible, and it's a community collaboration, and where programs and people are on one side and the services are managed by a networked organizations on the other side. Here is an example of how a few experts going through the online portals can continue to maintain farmers' knowledge empowerment programs. So just concluding slide, and more to be done. As Vivekananda says, if the poor cannot come to education, education must reach them at the plough, in the factory, everywhere. I believe the services also we should say. Services should reach them at the plough, in the factory, everywhere. That's Swami Vivekananda's thing, we can parody that way. So with community knowledge enterprise, we must integrate quality and inclusive education opportunities as well as now services. And a farmer can even become an entrepreneur. In fact, we should view farmer as an investor of money put in the soil and the sweat, and we must assure return on income. Can we build systems like that? Then we are talking of an agricultural revolution. Okay, like the IGNOU slogan, place no bar, age no bar, time no bar, and offer quality education to all independent of geography. That also I want to do it through these community knowledge enterprises. Thank you.